everybody. Welcome to Apocalypse Movies. This is our comic hero talk show where we talk all things superheroes. I am Jacob Bartley, by the way, and I'm joined by Gio Ramos. What's going on, man?
Doing good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. You know, it's hot in Sacramento, but we're surviving through it.
Feeling like Mustafar up in here, man.
I even got the AC on, and it's still really, really hot. That's a nice shirt you're wearing, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, Superman.
One of my good buddies got it for me, and
nice.
He knows what I like.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. All right, well, if you don't know how this show works, we pretty much talk about some of the biggest movie news stories going around in the world of superhero films, whether it be Marvel, DC, Fox, Sony, any comic book / superhero property that's out there. And then we talk about some actual comics. We jump into some of the comics I've been reading this week specifically. And then we have our last segment called Gios Rant, where Gio has something that I don't necessarily know what he's going to bring up, but we'll find out at the end of the show. All right, well, without further ado, let's jump into it. So first up, we have something that kind of just dropped today. So Josh Brolin sent out a tweet, and basically the tweet has a picture of Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, and Josh Brolin wrote, "Going back for more, I want it all," with a few hashtags afterwards. And we know that Avengers 4, the one that follows Infinity War, is going into filming this December, later this year. Mm-hmm. So, do you think this means that Thanos is indeed going to survive Avengers Infinity War and be back for Avengers 4?
I think he has to survive Infinity War.
Yeah, otherwise it's kind of a disappointment, right?
Right. I feel like this movie is going to end similar... Infinity War is going to end similar to how... Deathly Hallows Part 1 ended.
Exactly.
You know, like on a dark
You could
note.
look at these as those two movies, you know?
For sure.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, and Thanos, I think he's a guy that's been built up slowly throughout the MCU to the point where it wouldn't be enough to have him in just one movie. You know, that would be kind of a letdown in my opinion.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think Infinity War is going to be all about him coming into his own power, getting the Infinity Gauntlet and whatnot. And then Avengers 4 is going to be all about how the Avengers avenge whatever is going to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so.
I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Like, he says he's going back for more with the shooting coming up later this year. And a lot of people are talking about Infinity War right now, so he knows what he's doing. He wouldn't send this... If Thanos was going to die at the end of Infinity War, then he wouldn't tweet this out. Right. You know? Why would he do that? And I always thought Thanos was going to survive the first one, because... Why would you build up to this huge major villain and then to have him die in the first movie that he has a prominent role in? There's no way. Even kind of killing him off the next year in the next movie is kind of a stretch for this guy you've taken so long to get to.
Right.
So I think there's even a chance he survives the fourth one. They could pull the... No, we're better than that. We're not going to stoop down to the villain's level and kill. We're going to lock him up in some type of space prison or something, which is going to be dumb because... on their end, I mean for the characters, because you kill Thanos if you get the chance, because any chance this guy has to get out and destroy and kill you and take over the universe again, he's going to do it. But I do think he's going to survive Infinity War, and I do think he'll be the villain again in part 4.
Right.
So yeah, those are my thoughts on that, and I'm excited for that, honestly. I'm getting ready to read the Infinity Gauntlet comic pretty soon. I have the trade. Yeah, Keith let me borrow it. I'm going to get ready to read that before Infinity War comes out for sure.
You know, I got to say real quick, thank God Josh Brolin is Thanos CGI motion capture, because it'd be funny if he came back for reshoots or part 2 and he's like all jacked up.
Oh, I know, yeah, definitely,
yeah. Wait, what happened to Thanos?
He would look way different. Like he got defeated and then he comes back to fight. He went to the workout room and came back. He's like, I gotta get more buff to fight the Avengers.
The cable scar on him is funny, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited for Thanos. I hope he delivers in both of these films for sure. All right, well, moving on to another Marvel property, but not Marvel proper. So we got our first look at Zazie Beetz as Domino from Deadpool 2. Ryan Reynolds tweeted out a picture of her laying on Deadpool, and the tweet said she knows how to rock a red carpet or something like that. Yeah. It was something like that. So I'm not really familiar with Zazie Beetz. I watched the first episode of Atlanta, but you watched the whole season 1. So how do you like this image, and what is your anticipation for her in the film?
You know, I really loved her in Atlanta, and what I love the most is that they didn't make her the conventional, girlfriend who has to put up with, the boyfriend as he tries to, go and make something of himself.
Yeah, exactly.
They gave her own storyline.
That's awesome.
Throughout the season, so when you do watch Atlanta, for those of you who want to get to know Zazie Beetz more, you're going to be really impressed by what the show does for her and what she's able to do. And as for the costume, look, it's sexy, it's action, ready to go, like combat, and just the humor, of her standing or sitting on laying on Deadpool.
Yeah, because in the first marketing campaign, that was that same picture of Deadpool laying on a bear rug, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a play on that, and you already see this marketing campaign going again. Ryan Reynolds is a genius.
Can you talk a little bit about the relation? Are you familiar with the relationship between Domino and Deadpool?
No, so I haven't really dived into the Deadpool comics as much as I would like to. Once a new story starts, I'll dive into that, but I don't really know much about them. I know they have this
like brotherly, sister,
snarky, relationship.
Sibling.
Like I've heard they're always like talking crap to each other and stuff like that, and how they're always trying to one up each other. So I think we're gonna get something like that in the movie.
And are you worried at all about this taken away from Deadpool, because the first movie was so focused on him that you're bringing back Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. You have Domino, you have Cable. Does that worry you at all, or is this going to be a Thor Ragnarok situation?
Yeah,
Avengers,
I think it's going to be
Soldier.
Similar to Winter Soldier. I think. Well, we've talked about this for years. Well, like from now on, pretty much, unless we're getting a straight origin, even Doctor Strange is a straight origin. He's teaming up with what's his name in the movie, with Chiwetel Ejiofor's character.
Yep.
And that's basically a team up movie, And so all these movies are having, even Captain Marvel's going to be origin story, but she's going to be teaming up with Nick Fury. So pretty much every single comic book movie is an ensemble film. It can be a small ensemble. It can be 2 characters, 3 or 4. But I think they've figured out the formula in general, how to make a movie a character's movie, but also have it be an ensemble as well. So I think the first one was like that. So I think it's in good hands. And like, while I really liked Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus, I think this is going to be such a different dynamic with Cable and Domino. Like these are the characters we want to see with Deadpool.
Absolutely.
So I think that we're going to get that. I'm not worried about it at all.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with Zazie Beetz at all. I mean, like I said, but she looks awesome. She looks great. I'm excited for the character. Not necessarily the actress, because like I said, I'm not really familiar with her, but I do need to finish Atlanta season 1. It's definitely on my list.
You're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah. Alright, well, moving on to some Wonder Woman news. So Wonder Woman is one of the biggest movies of the year. It's the biggest movie of the summer. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I'm sure it's one of your favorite movies of the year. And according to Variety, executives had said that at Warner Bros. They're planning a Wonder Woman Oscar campaign, particularly in the categories of Best Picture and Best Director. Now, a lot of people are assuming that this is a publicity stunt, and I'm saying it can be a publicity stunt and be realistic, like a serious thing that they're pursuing. So I think it is a publicity stunt, but that's not a bad thing. They're doing it to bring more attention to Wonder Woman, bring more attention to the DCEU, bring more attention to Justice League, and it's so smart because when's Oscar season? November to February.
It's coming up.
When does Justice League come out? November.
Yeah.
It's such a great idea to remind people, oh, remember how great Wonder Woman was? And I don't know, we don't even know the movies yet that are coming out for the rest of this year. Like, there could be 20 other movies that are better than any movie we've seen all year. Like, we don't know. So we can't say whether or not it's going to get nominated for Best Picture or Best Director. But right now, like, let's say the Oscars, the year ended today. Like, right now. I say the film and Patty Jenkins get nominated.
If there were 10 Best Picture nominations,
but
I'd for sure put it.
Unfortunately, we have 5 more months left to the year, so it's not. I personally don't think I would love for it to. I would love for Patty Jenkins to get Best Director. I think the most likely one would be Best Director more than Best Picture. But at the same time, I know how the Oscars work, and I think we're headed towards that direction where this could be realistic. But I don't think it's going to end up happening. What do you think about this, Gio? Do you think it's kind of a publicity stunt? And if it is, do you think that's good or bad? And do you think that this movie has a chance at any of these nominations?
I think it's a win-win. Look, why not? First of all, nobody's saying it's gonna win. Nobody's saying it has like a like a great chance or anything like that. It certainly has a chance, but it's just what have we been saying for the past couple of years? We want these well-made genre films to get some recognition, at least some consideration or something. And so I don't see any harm in Warner Brothers taking a look at a film that was well loved by critics, well received by everyone, was profitable, was one of the biggest movies of the summer, if not the biggest movie of the summer. And as far as Oscars and like films that have defined that year in film, I definitely put Wonder Woman in that consideration, in that conversation for that. So yeah, I think it's great. It's a win-win. Those who haven't seen Wonder Woman, those female critics or older male critics who are like, no, we're not going to watch that movie. It's just a blockbuster movie. Wait a minute. Now the studio behind it is giving it a serious push. Okay, maybe I'll go and check this movie out now. So again, it's a win-win. Nobody's saying, they're going to win a nomination or anything like that. Personally, I want to see Logan before Wonder Woman get a nomination.
I think if any comic movie has a chance, The Dark Knight should have been nominated. Let's not fool ourselves. But at the time, there can only have 5 nominations. Right. If they could have had 10, it would have been nominated for sure. But I love Logan. Every time I watch that movie, I love it more and more. And that's more of an Oscar movie.
Yes.
Imagine if Logan came out in November, I think it would for sure get nominated.
Right.
A nomination somewhere, whether that's director, Best Picture, or one of the performances.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was in March, so we'll see.
So I love it. I go Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think even if it doesn't get one of the nominations, I think it's a positive thing that it's gonna campaign for it.
Sure.
Honestly,
yeah. And Warner Bros. Already has one Oscar on their mantle for a DC movie, so
they're pretty much the only comic movie to win like a major category, right? There's been visual effects and stuff like that, but
I was talking about Suicide Squad as far as the DCEU.
I thought you meant Heath Ledger winning for Best Actor. So but technically, they do for DC films.
Yeah.
All right, we'll stick into the DCEU. So. When was it last year when we heard that Joe Manganiello was going to play Deathstroke in the Batman, and everybody was so excited. They released that like test footage in Justice League. He was like in the hangar of the ship, and everybody was excited. And then Ben Affleck dropped off as director. Matt Reeves came on, and now it was in question whether or not he was going to be Deathstroke. And I know you and I desperately want him to be Deathstroke because that is a perfect casting. Like I love Manu Bennett on Arrow. But for a cinematic Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello is the guy. And he was asked, in the Hollywood Reporter, he had an interview, and he was asked whether or not he knows what's going on with that character and him playing him. And he said, quote, "I don't. Well, I do, but nothing that I can share. I know everything, but I can't say any of it." Adding to that, he said, "It's not up to me. That's a good question for Warner Bros. And DC." So, Gio, taking these comments... what do you think about Joe Manganiello? Do you think he is playing Deathstroke or not? And do you think he's telling the truth that like he doesn't? Well, he said he does know, but what do you think about these quotes?
Oh, I think he for sure knows. He's just playing it coy for the time being. He does have a good point. It's a very good question for Warner Bros. and DC because. Right now, what do we know about the Batman? We know Matt Reeves is on board. We know he's doing a page 1 rewrite. He may or may not take elements from Jeff Johns, Ben Affleck, and Chris Terrio's script, but I'm pretty sure he would because, come on, those are bona fide writers right there. But I think I give Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke more of a chance to be involved in the DCEU going forward. I do want to see him introduced or make a cameo in Justice League. I think that'd be great. But as far as in the Batman goes, it's a toss-up right now. It all depends on what Matt Reeves, what he's going to go for. Is he going to tell a Batman story with Ben Affleck as an older, weary Batman through 3 movies because he wants to do a trilogy? Or is he just going to do one Ben Affleck Batman movie and then somewhere in the trilogy kind of, pass the torch on, the baton to somebody else? Who knows? I want to see Ben Affleck in all 3 movies. I want to see Deathstroke definitely involved in the DCEU. I don't want him to be, just a character that's used in one movie, then we don't see him or hear from him in 4 years or 5 years when another movie comes out that requires his involvement or makes sense creatively to have his involvement. I want to see him have a big part in the universe. So he'll definitely be involved in the DCEU. I think that's a good casting. Fans love it. They're behind it. But we'll wait and see as far as the Batman goes. I don't know.
Yeah. As far as what I want, I absolutely want Joe Manganiello to play Deathstroke. It's perfect. Like he he's a monster of a guy, and I would love to see him go toe to toe with Ben Affleck. They're both tall, huge men, and not only like physically fight, but also some type of dialogue they could share. Because Slade Wilson is like he's very intelligent. Mm-hmm. He's one of the only people on the planet who could outsmart Batman, and then vice versa. Batman's one of the only people on the planet who could outsmart Deathstroke. Like, let's say hypothetically, Deathstroke had to go take down Superman, and he had the same resources that Bruce Wayne had. He could do it. I think if he had kryptonite, he could do it too. So that's the perfect villain for Batman to take on, because I don't want to see Batman fight somebody with supernatural powers. Like, I mean, that's fine every once in a while. Like, we saw him fight Superman. That's cool because it's something we haven't seen before. But Batman needs to fight with people who are on his level, you know, and we all know Batman could, you know, he could fight parademons with his technology and with his equipment and the money he has, but I want to see him, at least in a standalone Batman film, fight somebody like Deathstroke, and I think Joe Manganiello is the perfect guy to play him.
Yep, agreed.
Alright, well, moving on to our comic book segment where I talk about comics. It's called This Week in Comics, and usually I talk about the comics I read in the past 2 weeks because it's a bi-weekly show, but that would have taken a long time because I've read about 10 comics in the past 2 weeks. But I'm just going to talk about this past week specifically, the ones that released this past Wednesday. And I have my comics right here. So I have Go-Go Power Rangers #1. I have Secret Empire #7. I have the Mighty Captain Marvel #7. And then I have Wonder Woman #27. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the Go-Go Power Rangers #1. Yeah, sure, man. So Go-Go Power Rangers #1. All right. So there's a comic book run going on right now just called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and that is it's an ongoing series, and they're telling a different story. This Go-Go Power Rangers #1 goes back to when they first got their powers. It literally starts with their first battle with Goldar, if you remember the first episode of Power Rangers when they fight Goldar. And it picks up, and it's kind of telling this origin story. It's not showing how they got their powers, but it picks up right on the first day they basically have their first battle, and I love this. I love the ongoing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers run as well. It's something different because it's far down the line. It's well into Tommy coming and the Green Ranger being there and all that stuff, and that story that they're telling right now is excellent. But this one, if you don't like jumping in the middle and you want to start a new fresh story with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or the Go-Go Power Rangers I should say, pick this up. It is incredible. I loved it. They dive so deep into the characters. Each character has their own introduction, and there's a new character introduced, which is very, very interesting. I'm kind of really curious where that character goes. And so yeah, I definitely recommend this if you're a Power Rangers fan for sure. Alright, moving on to Secret Empire #7. Secret Empire is one of the biggest things going on in comics right now. And unfortunately, I do not talk spoilers on this podcast, but something big happened in this issue. You probably could read about it online, but I would recommend reading and actually figuring out for yourself what happened. But I was iffy about Secret Empire from issues 3 to 6. But lately, no, I would say issues 3 to 5 I was iffy about. But these last two, 6 and 7, have got me right back on board. I'm back to the hype that I was on the first 0, 1, 2 issues. Those were excellent. Kind of dipped off a little bit in the middle, but now it's back to that prominence that I loved it for, and I think it's going to finish strong. I think it's headed in the right direction, so definitely pick this up. Some big dramatic things go down, so pick up issue #7 if you're on the fence about continuing this, or just maybe wait till the trade comes out if you want to read the whole thing, or go to Comixology and you could read them for a lot cheaper than you pay in the comic book store. Alright, moving on to the Mighty Captain Marvel #7. Now this directly ties in to Secret Empire #7. Kind of the events kind of cross over, and Captain Marvel has a huge role in the Secret Empire issue. But basically, if you know the setup of what's going on right now, Captain Marvel and Alpha Flight and the Guardians of the Galaxy and a few other cosmic characters are trapped outside of Earth. Captain America tricked Captain Marvel into building a force field around Earth, and now she's stuck out there with this crew with an oncoming Chitauri army, and they're constantly attacking, and they're kind of just keep getting broken down. And it was a good issue. I mean, it wasn't my favorite of this Captain Marvel run. Secret Empire is kind of taken away from her individual storyline, but it's still cool. I love anything that has to do with this character and the way she handles situations. So I did really enjoy this issue, but not near my favorite issue of the week. And finally, to top things off, Wonder Woman #27. Now, to me, this issue is important because, look, I love Wonder Woman, but when you're a comic book reader, if you're a comic reader, you know what I'm talking about. You can't read everything. You have to pick and choose. You have to, sometimes drop things, and when you pick up new things. And I was considering, like, hey, I've read a lot of Wonder Woman. I've read 25 issues. I got a lot of her origin. I spent a lot of time with her and Steve Trevor. But I was considering dropping it. And I'm like, I'm going to wait till these next 2 issues. Because they just concluded a storyline with issue number 25. And 26 and 27 start a new storyline. And I was like, if I'm not feeling this new storyline, I'm going to drop it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not dropping it. Because it's really good. I really enjoyed this issue. And one thing that I really enjoy about this new storyline is we're getting flashbacks to when she was a young girl on Themyscira, and it's kind of like in the Wonder Woman film when you get her with Hippolyta on Themyscira, and we're getting that in these comics. Pretty much half of the comic is that, and half is current day. So I'm continuing reading Wonder Woman. Probably never going to stop because she's one of my favorite comic book characters. So definitely start reading Wonder Woman Rebirth. Go pick up the trades. You won't regret it. All right, well, that's going to conclude this week in comics. Gio, let me ask, do any of those stand out to you? I know it's kind of, they're all in, well, I mean, Power Rangers starts a new story, but the other ones are like in the middle of their stories. Any of those stand out to you?
I'm excited about Wonder Woman Rebirth.
Yeah.
I
gotta let you borrow those, man.
Yeah, absolutely gotta let me borrow it. And
you got a lot of reading to do.
I love the Secret Empire and how it, Captain America just tricked everyone into going outer space, and now they're just getting hammered one by one. It's just, I think that's awesome. So yeah,
and it's interesting because we don't know what's really going on. We don't know where it's headed. But I'll keep you guys updated. All right, well, moving on to our final segment of Comic Hero Talk this week, and that is Gio's Rant. Gio has something to bring up to us. I have no idea what it is, so let's hear it.
This whole past week after Comic-Con has been somewhat rough for the DCEU. Right after, on Monday, there was news that after Ben Affleck, he confirmed his involvement in the DCEU going forward. Yeah. He wants to work with Matt
Comic-Con,
Reeves.
Yeah, he basically said that he's the Batman and that he would love to work with Matt Reeves.
And then there was a report that the Justice League reshoots are extensive and expensive.
What was it? They spent upwards of $25 million. This is a report on reshoots.
That came from a credible site. And then later on in the week, there was some articles written about blowing things out of proportion. Reaching for some news bait, clickbait article. One of them was David Ayer, no longer attached to Gotham City Sirens. Comicbookmovie.com came out with an article. And their source was Mashable, which I don't even know what the hell that was. But basically they were saying that because David Ayer hardly mentioned it at Comic-Con, he is no longer attached, even though he was there for a different movie, Bright, that he was promoting. And then Screen Rant did an interview with Joe Manganiello. No, I think it was Variety or Hollywood Reporter. Somebody did an interview with Joe Manganiello. I think
it was the Hollywood Reporter. Yeah.
And Screen Rant did an article and then pretty much misquoted Joe Manganiello about Deathstroke moving forward. And
that's right. I forgot about his responses to that.
And Joe Manganiello had to go out of his way, go on Twitter, and call out Screen Rant. And basically said, you guys misquoted me. Check your news, your clickbait, please. To which Screen Rant basically took their article down and reposted it, apologized to Joe Manganiello. And then for Gotham City Sirens, David Ayer tweeted out a picture that pretty much shot down comicbookmovie.com's article. And so pretty much it was just a week filled with filmmakers and actors having to go out of their way and call out poor journalism for their clickbait articles and whatnot, for their misquotes. And this rant's basically just about, how disappointed I am in journalism. Do not follow comicbookmovie.com, okay? If you're looking for other places to find articles about comic book movies, check out Batman News, check out Collider, stay away from Screen Rant. They've fallen off since about maybe a year and a half ago. But I'm just really disappointed in these journalists, because they know the DCEU right now, there's so much in question right now, and anything negative regarding the DCEU, or anything even remotely given the impression of being negative, they'll take that certain sites and they'll make it headline news and they'll spin it to where, you know, it's something official, but it's not. And I'm just tired of that, okay? I'm really disappointed in them. It's part of the reason why I love doing what we're doing right now with the Apocalypse and me, you, and the DCEU channel, so that way we can deliver news or rumors as exactly what they are, which is either news or rumors or whatnot. And I'm really disappointed in the journalism of last week. Comicbookmovie.com, Screen Rant, you guys need to get your shit together. And yeah, guys, don't always do research, okay? If you care a lot about the MCU, the DCEU, or whatnot, and you want to find out more information, if you read something, make sure you do your research, okay? Go online, find some other credible sites, Slash Film, Collider, and see what they have to say. See if it's even being reported. So that's what I have to say. Do you have anything to add?
Man, no, but I pretty much agree with you, man. It's unfortunate that we have this problem with big name websites who are, you know, making good money to report on this stuff, and they can't even, you know, report on it truthfully. Like, you can talk about rumors, you can write an article about a rumor, but present it as a rumor. Don't present it in the title as if it's true, because you know what a lot of people do? A lot of people scroll through the home page of websites and they don't even click on the article. They just read the headlines, and then they go tell their friends, hey, did you hear Joe Manganiello's out as Deathstroke? Hey, did you hear Joe Manganiello's out as Deathstroke? A lot of people don't even read the full article. So what you have to do, look, the websites have to be responsible first and foremost, but us as readers have to be responsible as well. We have to know what we're reading. If you see it, don't just read a headline and run with it, like, and tell your friends about it. Click on the article, read the article. It doesn't take that much time, and find the source. Track your source. There's, you know, if it's coming from Variety, if it's coming from the Hollywood Reporter, if it's coming from, you know, these well-known, credible sources, then it's probably true. And not everyone's right all the time. Sometimes even the credible sources get fed wrong information, or, you know, out-of-date information, or whatever the case is. I think as much as the websites have to be, I think as readers we have to be responsible too. And like, I used to love Screen Rant. It was my go-to site for years until recently, and I was just reading an article right now. They had an article that said, and this was an older article, it wasn't like from today or something like that, but it said the DCEU kicked off with last year's Batman v Superman, and I'm like, what? No. That's absolutely incorrect.
No.
The DCEU kicked off with Man of Steel in 2013, which is still, in my opinion, the best DCEU film. So it doesn't even make sense to me, like, how, like, we're a small little website, and we will not allow incorrect information like that on our site, and we barely have any readers. So how is a major website allowing that? It's crazy to me. But I think it's awesome that people like Joe Manganiello and David Ayer address these issues, because it seems like that's the only way it's going to change. No random fans out there are going to care if you or I address it.
Right.
If they see people they look up to, like Joe Manganiello or David Ayer, addressing it, that's how the difference is going to be made. So
people
would pretty much agree with you. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, with all that out of the way, that's going to wrap up Comic Hero Talk for this week. Gio, what a great rant. Thank you for joining me this week. Let them know where they can find you online.
Yep. You guys can find me on Twitter at GioDude90. Check out apocalypsemovies.com. Check out our YouTube channel and subscribe and like and conversate with us. We love talking with you guys.
Let us know in the comment section what you thought of all of the topics we talked about today. And I am Jacob Bartley, your host as always. You can find me on Twitter at JacobBartley_. And also, we are on iTunes now. Go find us on iTunes. If you use the iTunes podcasting app, go in the app, go to Apocalypse Movies. It's all free. You can download any of our episodes, any of our reviews, any of that stuff. So we're doing big things here. Please go subscribe or download some of our content on iTunes. We would truly, truly appreciate it. All right, well, thank you. This is going to do it for Comic Hero Talk. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, take care.